How many times have you heard somebody say, well, the wisdom of God is foolishness to man? You say, that's a crazy idea you got there. That doesn't match logic. That doesn't fit the way the world is. They got pictures from outer space showing that this world is round. I mean, it's not flat. And they say, well, the wisdom of God is foolishness to man. What can you say to that? Unfortunately, there's a pretty broad anti-intellectual tendency that goes through the Christian church. And this should never have happened. The truth is that God is a God of wisdom. And the church, historically speaking, except for some dark times in its history, has been a pillar of education and a pillar of learning and a pillar of science. All of the great discoveries have been made by men of faith and women of faith. If we deny intelligence because it's less than God's intelligence, then we are denying the gift of God. The point is not that our foolishness is God's wisdom. That is not how this works. In fact, it's exactly the opposite of that. Our wisdom is God's foolishness. 1 Corinthians 3:18 says, do not deceive yourselves. If you think that you are wise in this age, you should become fools that you may become wise. That doesn't mean reject learning. It means understand the limits of our learning. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are futile. When I was a child, when I was in school, I had an easy time in school. I'll be honest with you. After a while, I sort of got the knack of it. Particularly because my brain works well with words. Maybe you don't agree, but nevertheless, the teachers kind of thought so at the time. I'm pretty good at verbal skills, and my math skills were not too bad either. And if you have verbal skills and math skills, then and a little bit of memory skills, then you can do very well in most public schools these days. And so here I was, clicking along, making my A's and B's, and I just wasn't happy. I mean, here were these other people that were C and D students, and they were happy, and they were getting along together, and they were having a good time, and I was like, that's not fair. That smart people are not happy, and stupid people are happy. And I started getting a sense that they must not be stupid if they're happy. They must not be stupid if they know how to get along with each other and how to get along with other people. They must be really smart. If somebody like that can get someone like that to go out on a date, then he must be brilliant. And that's when I started getting a sense that there's more to intelligence than talking and adding up. There's more to intelligence than verbal skills and numerical skills. There's really more to it than that, and there actually is. Musical skills, you may have noticed that music is a skill. Music is related to a kind of intelligence. Social skills, that ability to get along with other people, that ability to read somebody's face and to read their body language and to understand where their heart is coming from, that is an intelligence. Every bit as much an intelligence as a verbal skill or a mathematical skill. That's an intelligence, an intuitiveness. This non-verbal sense of understanding the world is an intelligence. There were people when I was growing up that they seemed to be dumb as a stump, and yet they could sure catch a baseball, and they could throw a BB and knock a fly out of the air. And you're like, how in the world do they do that? Because athletic ability, coordination, is an intelligence. It takes a lot of brain power to do that. There's no such thing as a dumb job. If you're a good job, You must be brainy. You've got it. Maybe your skill is not verbal. Therefore, you don't brag about yourself. People don't know how intelligent you are until they see you hit the baseball. Then they know. That's why you'll make a few $1 million. Is an intelligence. So the fact that I was arrogant or proud of my particular intelligence because it happened to be verbal and it happened to be mathematical and it happened to show up on the report card, that was all well and good. But I knew even at that early age that there was something different. And now, as psychologists study the brain and learn, sure enough, we've all got basically the same number of units of intelligence. It's just that it's all distributed differently. Some people can draw and sketch. I can't do that. Some people cannot put a sentence together. I'm pretty good at that. Some people can remember what happened the day they were born. My memory's not there. There's some brilliant people that you wouldn't know it to hear them talk. You have to see what they're good at. You have to see their gift in action to understand it. Let me read from James. James is considered to be the brother of Jesus, a very short letter. I invite you and encourage you all to read it. It comes after the letters of Paul, after Hebrews, then you've got James. It's just 4 chapters, or 5 chapters, or what is it? 5 chapters. It's just 5 chapters. It's pretty short. But if you're familiar with the things that Jesus said and you read that, you'll say, yeah, this probably was his brother. This probably is somebody that heard him over and over and over, and now later in life can make sense of what he was saying. James 3:13, who is wise and understanding among you? Show it by your good life, that your works are done with gentleness born of wisdom. But if you have bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not be boastful and false to the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, devilish. For where there is envy and selfish ambition, there will also be disorder and wickedness of every kind. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace for those who make peace. How many times do we see somebody and we know that in some sense, particularly in the worldly sense of and I don't want to denigrate education. We all need to get a strong education. But in the sense of book learning, in the sense of verbal skills, in the sense of what they've read and remember and understand, in the sense of their exposure to culture and their exposure to literature and their exposure to learning and education, you say, this person is a genius, this person is brilliant, and then they do the dumbest things. They run people off, or they have a silly argument, or they can't seem to stay married, or they can't seem to get along with their own children. They're lacking intelligence. They are lacking wisdom. Now, if we don't develop all of our skills, then we're being foolish. We're not being wise. And we understand that we're all going to have differing abilities. If I want to negotiate a contract, I'm not going to go do that. I'm going to send someone else to do that. Their skills at that are better than mine. They have better social skills. They have better give and take skills. They understand that whole thing better. If I'm going to fix the roof, I'm going to get somebody smarter than I am to fix the roof. They understand these things. They have that spatial intelligence. They have that structural intelligence. I don't have that. I don't fix my own car. I'm not smart enough to do that. I have people that are a lot smarter than me at fixing cars, and that's what they do. We all need each other. We all need each other. So what is this earthly, worldly, wicked, evil? What is that kind of intelligence? What is that wisdom? Well, it tells us right here, if you have bitter envy, that is, you expect everyone else to be worse than you, or you expect to be better off than everyone else, or you expect to be running the show, And selfish ambition means about the same thing. In your hearts, do not be boastful in faults in the truth. Some people are very boastful about their ambition, very boastful about their pride, very boastful about this, well, I think it ought to be so-and-so, and I will not be moved. I will not back down. I'm going to have it my way. That's not wise. Such wisdom does not come from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, and devilish. For where there is envy and selfish ambition, once again, there will also be disorder. They can't seem to organize. They can't seem to get along. They can't seem to negotiate. And wickedness of every kind. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure. Pure meaning it's whole, it's complete, it's all together. A pure loaf of bread is all bread and no chaff. It's all wheat and no chaff. It's a pure loaf of bread. It has pure ingredients. It's unadulterated. A pure wisdom from above is pure. It's unadulterated. It doesn't have this junk thrown in with it, this selfish ambition, this deceit, this envy, this hypocrisy. It doesn't have all of that in it. It's first pure. Then it's peaceable, because it's wise to encourage peace. Wise people seek peace. It's gentle, because wise people don't have to lord it over other people. Wise people don't have to get mean and arrogant and forceful about it. It's gentle. Willing to yield. Willing to yield. A wise person will sometimes let the other person have their way. And Trainer, being a military man, knows full well that it ain't smart if you can't take orders. There are times that we have to be willing to yield. Full of mercy and good fruits. Full of mercy means that I have to let other people make mistakes. I have to see that not everybody has the same skills or the same knowledge or the same tools or the same education. Merciful means that I'm going to let you mess up and not hold it in your face all the time. Merciful means I'm going to let other people learn from their mistakes sometimes. I'm not going to hold a grudge about them. Without a trace. That purity we talked about. A pure loaf of bread that has just a little pin line of dirt going all the way through it. Just a little bit of dirt. It's just a little bit of dirt. No, it's pure. Get the dirt out. What are we getting out of our wisdom? Without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. Partiality, meaning that, I'm sorry, I only hang with people who have high verbal skills. I only hang with people who have a keen fashion sense. I only hang with people who are educated in my particular religion. I only hang with people who are good at music. I only hang with a certain kind of people. That's partiality. Hypocrisy is saying, well, I'm smarter than you because I can talk for 15 minutes on nothing and you can't. That's hypocrisy because I know better. Who is wise and understanding among you? Show it by your good life and your good works, done with gentleness, born of wisdom. And we pray for this wisdom that comes from above. Paul had at the end of his first letter to Timothy, had some great advice. Said, Timothy, guard what has been entrusted to you. Avoid profane chatter and contradictions of what is falsely called knowledge. By professing it, some have missed the mark as regards to the faith. Profane chatter and contradictions of what is falsely called knowledge. How many times do we argue just because it's fun to argue, or just because we think we're particularly good at the argument, just because we think we've got the upper hand? To the Corinthians, Paul wrote, my speech and my proclamation were not with plausible words of wisdom, but with a demonstration of spirit and power, so that your faith might not rest on human wisdom, but on the power of God. It sounds to me like human wisdom back then was considered about the same as it is now. It was thought to be verbal and mathematical, and that's about it. A few other measurable skills, and that's about it. So Paul set all of that aside and said, I'm not going to prove to you by chattering, by all these profane repetitions and contradictions. I'm not going to argue with you. He did enjoy a good debate. But when he came to the Corinthians, he got gentle. He got humble. He displayed it with the Spirit. He displayed it with the way he behaved. Yet among the mature, we do speak wisdom, though it's not the wisdom of this age or the rulers of this age who are doomed to perish. But we speak of God's wisdom, secret and hidden, which God decreed before the ages of our glory. None of the rulers of this age understood this, for if they had, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. But as it is written, what no eye has seen, our ear has heard, and our human heart has conceived, what God has prepared for those who love Him. There are things about wisdom, you know this as well as I do, that can't be put into words, that can't be said. And we can't say, well, if you can't explain yourself, if you can't make someone else understand it, or if you can't come up with an explanation that I can't strike down, then that's some lack of intelligence. Jesus said, the one who Christ says, brother, you fool, is in danger of seeing the fires of hell. As Christians, we all need each other. I really do need mechanics. God help me if I tell them, if I pretend that somehow my intelligence is more important than theirs, because if I do that, I'm going to be walking home. I need people who have culinary intelligence, because otherwise you're going to eat my cooking and it's not going to be any good. I need people who have some fashion sense, otherwise I'll be wearing my polka dot tie and my plaid pants, and you'll all won't be hearing what I say because you're going to be too distracted by the whole mess of my wardrobe. We need each other. We need each other. Don't put yourself down and think that you lack intelligence. Don't do that. Because I'll guarantee you, you have an intelligence that I don't have and that no one else in this room has. You are the smartest person in the room in some field. We might not have found it yet or seen it yet, or we might not have had a need for it yet. But hang in there. You're the smartest person in the room in some way. But stay humble. Because in other ways, everyone in the room is smarter than I am. Everyone in the room knows more. Let's learn to accept each other, and let's ask God and pray to God for the wisdom that comes from above. Amen.